So on behalf of the President Salva Kiir Mayardit of the Republic of South Sudan, I duly declare this public awareness discussion duly open.
A 5-day public awareness and consultation on the Sudd wetlands and the Nile water resources management has kicked off in Juba on Sunday. The forum brought together local and international experts on environment, climatology and disaster risk management. The forum was attended by the Minister of Defense, Minister of Information, Minister of Youth, among others. In his opening remarks, Minister of Presidential Affairs Dr. Barnabas Marial Benjamin urged the participants to comprehensively discuss and put their voices together for the benefits of the country. Marial says the government is concerned in finding solutions to reduce continuous natural calamities and catastrophic floods.
Creating awareness is very, very important on issues of public interest. Resources and preservation of the rights of renewable resources, as he said, and in fact, water is a resource that if the Almighty has given it to you, then it is your life, that you'll continue to have your life.
Meanwhile, the Undersecretary in the Ministry of Environment, Joseph Africano, said the government has proposed a strategic roadmap and policies that address natural disasters.
The genesis of this problem is flooding, and the floods and droughts, heat waves, name it, are the impacts of climate change. The issues of forestry, forest degradation is one big thing. That's why we cannot solve it without investing in our energy.
The head of the consultative committee, Akoja Manim, encouraged young people to participate on critical issues and reach holistic solutions. The international and local experts presented diverse views on Nile water management.
The canal was envisioned as a colonial project. And this is my own stand now. Yungule Canal today is still a colonial project in 2022.
Because the problem today is, how do we know in the next 5 years, 20 years, that we will have too much water in some place and too little in some place? We don't know. So we need to sponsor, South Sudan need to sponsor a study that can model the water from today to the mid of the century, from the mid of the century to the end of the century.
The participants expressed mixed reaction during the forum.
I really appreciate the presentation that can be made. This is the beginning of science. We must use science. We cannot really crack our head question of dredging and all this.
It's because there is a flood in the country. That is why we always pay attention to water tanks to give us water in the whole town of Juba. And these water tanks are finishing our people.
The forum that will continue for 5 days is being organized by the committee tasked by the President to create public awareness and consultation on Sudd wetlands and Nile water resources management. The second day of the consultation would focus on Sudd ecosystem and its socio-economic value, water management, aquatic navigation, utilization and control of waters. During a lengthy discussion on Sudd wetlands and Nile waters, the participants exhausted critical topics on impacts of ecosystem and its socio-economic value, water management and aquatic navigation. The participants also discussed water resources utilization and its security, water governance, legal framework, water security, international and regional water laws. The international and national experts shed light on vibrant issues on Sudd wetlands and Nile waters management.
So we have that option. Talking about feasibility studies, take the IOM. They have a 5-year program. They told me that the first year will be feasibility studies, a full year, 12 months. And the other 4 years will be the implementation, depending on the feasibility study.
There is also income from research and education activities. And this is connected to the UNESCO designation of the Sudd as Ramsar because of its uniqueness and because of its potential scientific research related to it. And the kind of drugs that could come from the unique habitat, vegetations, and the species that are not common or even existent in the rest of the world.
During the forum, the participants were allowed to ask questions on the matters related to water governance, its benefit, and policies on maintaining floods in the areas along Sudd wetlands and Nile River. The Minister of Information, Telecommunication and Postal Services, Michael Makwelwet, described water as an important resource that need to be handled with care.
Water is a resource, and it is the most important. Without water, there is no life. Even your body is how many percent water? 70% water. So water is not a joke, it is a reality. Dongole Canal, as I said earlier, we have not discussed it in the cabinet, and it is premature. It is too early for us to do it. We want to be doing the 2-3 things at a go.
Minister of Residential Affairs, Dr. Barnabas Marial Benjamin, and that of Defense and Veteran Affairs, Angelina Teng, spoke during the event.
Know your responsibility. What is a country? You should ask yourself, what is a country? A country is the land you have with all in it. One, first thing, the people who are on that land, and number 3, the power and the force to protect it.
And when we talk about this cleaning and when we talk about measures, not only for preventing floods, but by the way, is preserving those waterways, because when you cannot hardly find the cause of the river that was well known before.
The researchers and experts pointed out that digging of Jonglei Canal would reduce water flowing into the Sudd, potential alteration of rain patterns, under spin climate variability, and forcible displacement of wildlife. The third day of the forum would look at the essential components and social impact assessment on Sudd wetlands and Nile waters.
I would like also to thank in a special way the South Sudan Broadcasting Corporation, because it has been informing the people of South Sudan, because this process has been live on TV. So you should clap for it. Also the radio is also on, transmitting what you are talking here to our people. And I think that is a great responsibility. I also briefed the President this morning of what has been happening, and to surprise me that he has been watching it in the TV. So that is a commitment on his part.
During a third day of public awareness and consultation on water management, the participants have suggested short and long-term possible solutions to reduce recurrence of floods and drought. The recommendations include gathering records and archives on White Nile water, primary and authentic data analysis, commissioning of scientific research, and adaptation of public policies in line with sustainable development goals and in consideration of the affected population.
Gathering records, archives, colonial papers, treaties, reports, maps on the White Nile waters, and ecosystem in the Sudd region and other wetlands. And commissioning the current scientific research on environmental social assessments impact on the Jonglei Canal and the White Nile.
Speaking during the event, Professor Taj Al-Kazin highlighted essential components of an inclusive and credible feasibility study. The expert said the feasibility study must focus on scientific research that meet international standard, evidence-based, comprehensive, independent and impartial to give tangible results.
And if I were the government of South Sudan, my top priority will be as and where possible to take the equipment and patch up those broken parts so that we just contain what is left of the water, because the population is now using it for transport. So there is a lot that can be said about Jonglei Canal, but this is not my topic for the time being. We need to set our priorities right.
Young Kwai, a researcher, explored the importance of environmental and social impact assessment.
When you talk about dredging, you need EIA. Because if you don't do EIA, you are going to make another mistake of excavating the land, and the plot will be transferred from Bentiu to Malakal. So this is why we need to do the EIA.
Meanwhile, Dr. Salwa Gabriel explained what can be done on water management.
We have spoken about in the ecosystems affected people from the east and from the west bank. We want to know them. We want to know their lifestyle, their location, how they are affected by both navigational transportation and by floodings.
The Minister of Presidential Affairs, Dr. Barnaba Marial Benjamin, said the outcome of the consultation would enable the government to make a scientific and political informed decision.
Increasing our pros and cons and the right decision as to what we need your government should take, because this exercise is not ending with you. It gives the government a scientific analysis of the actions and the political decisions.
The first day of the forum would focus on the White Nile Vase and its tributaries, water resource development and management, feasibility studies, The forum drew together lawmakers from the Council of States and Transitional National Legislative Assembly to listen to the experts and explore on vibrant topics on the White Nile Basin management and its governance. Professor Taj Al-Kazin, an international expert on Nile water, underscored the importance of feasibility studies. Al-Kazin recommended establishment of a commission to oversee water management in South Sudan.
The feasibility study, the design, the construction, the usage, the lifetime have got to be decided scientifically for Hafiz to survive.
An expert, Dr. Silwak Jibril, recommended conducting public hearing and commissioning of scientific studies.
Debate on all sides and took this historic unprecedented decision to call the nation for a public consultations and a forum to look into all aspects of the dredging and the issues of the water resources.
An associate professor, John Leju, explained variability between dredging and river cleaning.
Doesn't destroy, this doesn't affect the biota, doesn't affect the livelihood, doesn't affect the environment, then that kind of dredging is sustainable and is acceptable.
The Minister of Presidential Affairs, Dr. Barnaba Marial Benjamin, said the forum has offered a credible chance to the participants to explore possibilities.
What we heard from our experts, a wonderful information, which a member of parliament really needs for you to sit in your chair and bang the table and say this is the right decision to take. Our government had not discussed anything to do with Jonglei Canal.
The Assembly Past Deputy Speaker Nathaniel Oyet says The parliament would not entertain any person who attempt to divert public concern into tribal bases. On her part, the Deputy Speaker of the Council of States, Mary Ayan Majuk, congratulated the President for initiating such an interactive platform in which he said would produce tangible results.
I would like to underscore that and emphasize and underline actually that we are seized of this matter. We want to seek short-term and long-term solution to the flood disaster. I would like also to point out there is no need to politicize the matter of national disaster.
So I understand a bit the importance of water. I understand how South Sudan is one of the blessed and gifted countries all over the world.
The chair of the organizing committee, Akojakwe Manim, described Nile water as a lifeline for the people of South Sudan.
Underscoring that the White Nile, including its tributaries, is the lifeline of the people of South Sudan.
The feast day of the forum is expected to bring together the cabinet to explore important topics on Sudd wetlands and the White Nile water resources management. According to the organizing committee, the public awareness and consultation is formally envisioned to achieve an objective of laying a foundation for the stakeholders to adopt an informative decision based on scientific analysis on issues related to water management. Addressing the event, the first Vice President, Dr. Yagma Chateng, advised stakeholders to properly manage, develop and control the Sudd wetlands and Nile River.
We must make our decisions on our national interest. This is important. Debate, this is openness. So that tomorrow they don't blame us if we make a decision that they may not like.
Vice Presidents Dr. James Waniga and Taban Dengai also spoke during the event. The world-renowned expert Professor Taj Al-Kazin said the Sudd wetlands and Nile River are essential economic and domestic survivability for the people of South Sudan.
Also, when it comes to water politics, I would suggest that we look into what we call interdependencies. If somebody wants water from me, what do I want from him? What can he give me? And that needs to be equitable. Form an all-party parliamentary committee on water resources, environment and ecology.
The Minister of Information, Communication and Postal Services, Michael Makwelwet, elaborated the importance of developing mechanisms to control and manage Sudd wetlands and Nile water.
Because the issue of water resources and the dredging had been a problem and so many people have politicized it. Meanwhile, it is a scientific issue that should have been addressed by scientists. We are required to be informed so that we decide from an informed position. We don't expect the expert to come and tell us this is the way. It is their duty to tell us the pros and cons of this process. If you do it this way, this will happen. If you do it the other way, this will happen. And then the decision is left for you. So that when you decide, you will not blame any other person, but blame yourself for having taken that decision.
The Undersecretaries of Water Resources and Irrigation and of Environment explained plans of the respective ministries on water and environmental management. The experts pointed out that any rash decision to dredge the Sudd wetlands without extensive scientific studies would produce negative impacts on ecosystem, livelihoods, wildlife and rainfall. The 5-day public awareness and consultation on water management began on July 10th and ran concurrently to July 14th. The first 3 days of the forum engaged public on the importance of Sudd wetlands and Wild Nile water, climate change and its variability, water governance and legal framework. The fourth day of the exercise was attended by the parliamentarians who discussed a series of topics on ecosystem, aquatic navigation, essential components of an inclusive and credible feasibility study. On the fifth day of the consultation, the experts lectured to the executive on the significance of collecting public views, water resources management, development and its control. In his closing remarks, the first Vice President, Riek Machar explained how the dredging and cleaning machines arrive in Bentiu.
The ones that have arrived to Bentiu, this is an Egyptian grant that they have offered to give to South Sudan, help South Sudan resolve some of their issues on water. The machines for dredging, the machines for clearing.
On his part, Vice President Dr. James Wan-Iga emphasized on the importance of considering the public interest in executing the project.
Put the interest of your people first. Other things come later. I agree with those who say that we have to rescue our people from floods because they are dying in front of us now, not tomorrow. And we think that we should wait until all the sciences of the world are finished and then we will come to rescue them from drowning.
The Vice President for Infrastructure Cluster, Taban Dengai, explained why river cleaning is an important exercise to the country.
Send the technical people to Bentiu, let them go and assess, see the machines. Are they really sophisticated? But they are just normal machines. Then you take over. Clean the river. Meanwhile, you do our sophisticated social assessment impact and then studies for what to do. So that we make real use of our rivers.
The Minister of Information, Communication Technology and Foster Services, Michael Makwelwet, advised people of South Sudan not to politicize national issues.
A problem, and so many people have politicized it. Meanwhile, it is a scientific issue that should have been addressed by scientists. This Sudd is an Arabic word. Why do we call it Sudd at a time when this land has its own meaning? Why should we not call it Toj instead of calling it Sudd?
An international expert on water management, Professor Taj Al-Kazin, recommended commissioning of scientific interjectory procedures to establish short and long-term impacts of river dredging.
Is to commission a body, get the people that you want, national, international mix, but do a targeted, medium-term, longer-term water policy so that we have a trajectory, we have a roadmap. Where are we going from here forward?
National and international experts on water, climatology and environmentalists have presented their views on proper water management during the session.
We cannot